So I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee at Vintage Millworks with my friend James Dunn, and the boys and I are fixing to get a tour of the premises. So can't wait. And then when we're done, we'll sit down and talk craft.
Okay, that sounds good.
So,
all right.
Lead the way.
Well, we're in the showroom right now.
Okay.
We do sell a few outsourced products, Lowen Window, Anderson Window, a couple of other products. We're finding out we've got to mix to stay up with everybody. We've got to mix it up with the
More
custom.
of a one-stop shop.
Well, that's true. They really want you to do it all if you can, where they don't have to shop around.
Yeah.
So we are still a manufacturer. That's our major work is building what the architect designer has requested.
So what are your main products, like millwork? Some people may not know what millwork
Well, your
covers.
millwork covers almost every kind of product that's in a house, mostly in wood, of course. We manufacture custom moldings. That's your crown molds, your baseboards, casings. We'll do special entry frames, interior doors, exterior doors.
Windows. Your own
right.
windows.
We've got a putty glazed window there that we reproduce for some of these historical houses.
Very cool.
And it's getting to where the codes don't like the putty glaze. They would rather have a insulated window for energy efficiency, and that's a big discussion.
Don't get you started.
Don't get me started. So we've been building those putty glaze. This country's had putty glaze windows for 200 years. All of a sudden, it's no good anymore.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's enough about that. But yeah, libraries, wall paneling in libraries.
I've seen you do some beautiful built-ins of all
Built-ins,
kinds.
yeah, stairways, special stairways. We do some kitchen cabinetry, but it's more or less the bespoke cabinetry, something that you're not going to see in a catalog necessarily.
Yeah.
There's enough really good cabinet companies out there now, and we don't need to compete with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, we partner with some of them, so we can all share the work.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go out through here,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
we'll take a short walk.
Come on, boys. Here, Travis, you can take my hand. This way. There we go. Look at all that wood. Definitely the biggest shop we've toured so far.
Okay. This is kind of a staging area. Bring in product and take it out. It doesn't work real well. We are moving. We sold our property here. We're moving to Fairview. Bigger property, bigger warehouse. It'll be one door in and one door out.
Nice.
Right now we've got 5 or 6 doors that we're actually coming out and going in, coming in and going out. We disrupt a lot of the work, so it's really inefficient.
Yeah.
But
Looking forward to the
we've
new
managed
place.
for 35
Yeah.
years.
Wow.
So, but anyway, we'll walk down through our yellow zone here. There's a couple of, there's an elliptical jamb that we just finished. These are
Very
a couple of
cool.
outsourced doors that we're actually designing, and then they make them for us on
Yeah.
some of this production type. But we don't have a lot of stuff to show because the minute it's made, it's got to get out the door.
Make room for
Make
more.
room for more. So
Yeah.
we don't try to let it stay too long
Yeah.
here. We send out a lot of parts and pieces have to be just made up, and then a drawing sent, and then it's assembled on site because of the way sometimes it's just really hard to build something complete, then install it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to bite the
You have to
bullet.
build it in.
Build it on site. There's some really good guys out there that are working on site. They're very talented.
Finish carpenters.
Finish
or
carpenters,
whatever.
yeah. Couple of elliptical heads. We do a lot of radius work. That's probably a big part of our custom work is just circles and radius. We'll walk
cool.
through here.
So talk to us about your philosophy when it comes to tooling as we go along. So I've known you for a little while, and I know you obviously use the most efficient tool for the job, but sometimes that's not always a big power tool.
Well, in this kind of work, we're not really what would I would say assembly line work. So we have a lot of different tools to produce a lot of one-off projects.
Yeah.
And my dad told me a long time ago, he said, if you'll just buy the best you can pay for, and you won't have to buy it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Some of these little tool grab places are cheap tools, but they're cheap tools.
Yeah.
So you really want to spend your money, invest in really good tools, and they'll stay. Some of this equipment I've had for 35 years.
Yeah.
Since I've been here, and even some of it longer than that. I've had some of the Powermatic for back in 1976.
Wow.
So it's done a good job, and it's not the industrial rated on some of this, but then we do have, you'll see some of the stuff that's top of the line,
yeah,
industrial rated, and it performs good. That's what you want. But we kind of do our cabinets over here.
I see some pretty looking dovetails.
They're good. We do. We like to do the maple drawer, dovetail drawers, all 4 sides, and a lot of times we do the 1/2-inch plywood bottom. Very few of our none of our cabinet boxes we will use MDF. We'll always use a good 9-ply or a good birch, maple plywood. But I'm not saying the MDF is a bad thing. It's just that you don't want to use it for boxes. You'd rather use that for what it was designed for, sheet goods captured in a frame. But this is just a good example. And then we'll use those self-closing drawer glides. And I'm not even sure what brand we're using now, but it's the good self-closing, soft close drawer glide, undermount.
Yeah.
You can see
very solid.
Yeah, it's some of it's 1-inch thick face frame, some of it's 1 1/4. We use a good grade of plywood. Most of all of our boxes are plywood. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat the plywood.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, it was solid wood, but we had a lot of virgin timber, old growth lumber to work with, and very stable. Today, our lumber is fast grown, young trees, sapwood, killed down to 6%, and
not as stable.
The wood is very unstable, so you've got to go to engineered wood or antique lumber. We use a lot of antique lumber in some of these pieces.
I've always had a love-hate relationship with plywood, but I'd rather see that used in the inside than good wood.
Exactly, exactly.
Save that good stuff for where it's going to be seen.
Here's an old window frame that came out of an old antebellum, 1840. We know the date on this house.
Wow.
Had the little gib doors below. Those are the true 1840.
Look at these doors, Alan.
And then we reworked the sash. So this particular window jamb is that old. It's 1840 era. And they would, from what I've told, the bottom sash would be opened up in a party. These windows were out on a veranda.
Open the bottom sash, open the doors,
through to the porch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was the whole reason for opening those doors, making them operable.
Cool. Cute little door bolt.
Yeah, that was one of your hand wrought, wasn't it? Is that hand wrought?
I don't know if it is or not.
I
believe the bolt itself
Okay.
probably is.
But you can see the old walnut doors are all pegged, mortise and tenon pegged.
Big old pegs.
Window
in there.
sash is well, I think we rebuilt that. But old cut nails, the old square-headed cut nails. So,
Very cool.
yep.
Come on, boys.
And
Oh man.
I think everybody's out for.
What's that?
We usually have 5 or 6 guys lined up, but they're out in the delivery, I believe.
I got you. It's a good time to walk through without getting in the
Yeah,
way.
exactly. That's a good machine there. Aldendorf, it's a sliding table saw. And like I say, for one-off pieces, the CNC router we've got, but it's really hard to program that for everything. So
Wow.
this
That
one
is
here, it can
way too
square, it just slice and dice, you know. It's a really good machine. The guys love it.
Very cool.
Edge sanders for sanding out pieces. Here's parts to a curved door. If you can see, it's a arch top door
There's the drawing.
with curved buttons. So he's got to make every one of these pieces. He
Wow.
uses a hold down template, and you'll see a shaper set up over there with a split collar. And so there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work goes into the curve. Once you get out of straight and narrow, you get
And
into
that piece there, I mean, you're obviously putting a lot of pieces together, but this piece is not laminated. That's
that's solid.
carved out of a
Yeah.
solid piece of walnut.
And they try to pick their grain.
Yeah.
This is walnut. That's what they wanted. So that, that piece will actually form the ellipse in that mutton bar. And then
Very
its
cool.
glass is captured in here. I wish we had it made up where you could see it.
Well, anybody wants to see the finished work that leaves this shop should check y'all out on Instagram.
Instagram's got hands.
Vintage
hand-
Millworks
well, it's,
and Hands of Vintage
Hands
Millworks.
of Vintage Millworks is my personal. Then Vintage Millworks Inc. is the company. We swap back and forth.
Yeah, beautiful stuff on there. Here we're getting the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Here he's making. Oh, he's got them glued up. He's making some barge rafters.
I see some tight grain, old growth wood, I think.
These are like barge rafters on a kind of a colonial. You'll see these rafters coming down on a gable end, and then it ends in a gutter silhouette. It's hard to tell right now.
So this piece goes right on the end there.
Yeah, that caps the end. Yep. You'd have to see it.
That's some tight grain.
Yeah, that's some good stuff there. Yeah, it's a western cedar.
Look at those fancy pieces. Look up there on the table.
Yeah, I wish we had more stuff to show.
No, like I said, this is good.
Here's a couple of brackets that are going actually in a little. I think it's a 1910 little Queen Anne Victorian in Leaper's Fort.
Very cool.
Those are the porch brackets that hold up the porch.
Wow.
And we were able to make those out of recycled 2x10 or 2x12 floor joist
Nice.
from the same era house. Antique, heart pine, old growth.
Very cool.
And they got a lot of cleanup to do, but they will
I
hold.
love that though.
Yeah.
Use recycling
Right.
wood from the period.
Yep.
For the house.
We'll go over here and look. Here's some of these shapers.
The molding workhorses.
This is that machine that you just saw that made those walnut curves. and it's a little. He's got a lock down now.
Yeah.
But
see that cutter? This has 3 cutters, and they spin around real fast, and that's what cut those curved walnut pieces we were just looking at.
they're pretty safe with this. It's got this huge template that your hands never get there. They're always out here. Now you've got kickbacks and things like that, but these guys
understand and respect the machine.
You understand the mechanics of
Yeah.
it, spinning shaft. But this is a good
and then
machine.
This, you said you have a template, and this collar just follows
That's
the
right.
template.
Just like your little router table.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a roller bearing on a router,
Right.
except it's just big guy. Here's a machine here that makes all these curves.
Wow, that's pretty.
We can put the same cutter knife in this machine that we use for the straight line molder we have. So this works in tandem with that.
Very cool.
You get a lot of straight stuff. You got a couple of round windows.
See this, boys? Look. This machine cut that shape all the way around. Isn't that pretty? That's really pretty. That's going to make a beautiful window, isn't it? Or door. Yep. It does a good job.
Here's the now this is the CNC machine. Currently, we've got it shut off right now. We're going to rebuild it, and we didn't want to do it until we moved to the new place.
Yeah.
So we're going to update it. It's about a 18-year-old machine.
Okay.
Northwood out of Louisville, Kentucky. Is a great. This thing is a monster. It can literally cut little bitty pieces up to great big 12-foot long, 10-foot wide.
Wow.
It's a precision machine. That kind of changed a lot of the game for us.
Yeah.
But we do have several people that we're outsourcing some of our cuts and some of our work to. But we just want to get back in. You just have better control.
Yeah.
But it'll be back up and running shortly.
I can't wait to visit the new shop.
Yeah, we'll have lots of room out there. Well, we'll walk over to the rough mill where well, here's some stuff we've been making. These are all screwed to the wall, I guess, but anyway.
Samples of.
They're just, they're
And all of this is CNC cut?
almost every bit of this, actually it is. It's all CNC parts and pieces. Just kind of showcasing what you can do. It's a rotary, it's a big router.
Yeah.
And you can see the radius corners as the machine comes out, but there's not too much that, if we want it to look like it's handmade,
Yeah.
still maintain that nice crisp corner, we put it on the bench again. Let the craftsman tune it up,
Work it over.
but
like this right here. If the
Right.
cutter can't clean it out,
which
then,
we did. That's what we
Yeah.
did. But to do 30 of those, I mean,
Yeah.
the cost would get.
Right.
Even the big guys don't want to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
So we've got it to where we can make a lot of these parts on the CNC,
Yeah.
and then put them back on the bench and
Just do a
tune them up.
touch-up, yeah.
Get the human touch back on it. So, but anyways, you can see some of this, a little bit of dust.
Very
in it.
cool. Very cool.
So we'll go over there to the rough mill and show you.
The chain mortiser.
Chain mortiser. Now, hey, we still do some handwork,
Yeah, man.
and
Now you're talking my language.
you can shave with that. We do some timber work, not a lot. There's a lot of good guys that focus only on timber framing, but we get into some stuff sometimes where we're doing some brackets or corbels, or maybe a hammer beam for one or two items.
Yeah.
And the adze, the broad. We had a broad axe somewhere in here, but we can handle some timber pieces.
Yeah.
This is kind of neat. This, I want you to see this.
Whoa.
Anybody have any idea what this is? What do you think this is?
Can I take a whack?
Take a whack at it.
I mean, it looks like a big clamp for glue ups.
Press. It's a press.
press.
Exactly right. That's a clamp. Press. And I think this thing is 1880 or 1890.
Very cool.
One of our guys was shop foreman that works here. He had it in his old shop and wanted to set it back up. Now we do use it. It doesn't look like it, but we'll book down several laminations of 4/4 or even veneer face, and that thing will press.
Wow.
It's
That's really cool.
it's a good machine and it still works as good as it
That's
did
really
the day
cool.
they set it up back in 1880.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
That's when iron was iron and men were men, you know.
Yeah, I
Whoop.
love it.
Whoops.
He's all right. I love the little pretty touches on the tools.
Well, yeah, and yeah, he
Tools
did.
need to be pretty too.
They got, yeah. You don't want to just throw 2x4s up there. You want to dress it up.
That's
you know.
right.
That's one thing I love about the shaker, the old shaker people. If you ever go to any of their old historical places,
Shaker villages and
they
stuff.
did, yeah, their work was just unbelievable. I mean, I don't care if it was a wooden milk bucket,
All the simple stuff,
stool,
the everyday stuff. It's pretty.
a stanchion for a milk cow.
Yeah.
It was all, every piece was touched, notched, pegged, chamfered. And that's what I grew up seeing up in Michigan was were these old barns and farms from the 1880s. And that's what inspired.
Coming through.
Comes your train. Okay, those are those barge rafters that I explained to you.
I got you. So that's what those decorative ends are going on.
Right.
Cool.
So, but anyways, that's one of the things that inspired me was some of that early work,
Yeah. and
they always had a spiritual meaning to it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they do it unto the glory of God. Well, their
Yeah.
work was proven.
Everything they're thinking was everything will be seen by God at least.
Yeah. By yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is our rough mill. We bring it in,
Break down stock.
break it down, pull it apart, rip it, gang rip it, plane it, mold it, get it ready. Hopefully it's ready to go to the next location as soon as we get done with it.
Yeah.
And it usually is. But as you can see, we're mixing sold goods, brought in goods
Yeah.
with our rough mill, and it makes it tough. We
Yeah.
got to really be careful we don't scratch, dent,
Yeah.
tear.
Yeah.
So some of this was brought in from one of our vendors, and it makes it, you got to really be watching yourself.
Very cool.
We'll take a look at our spray booth over here.
Yeah.
You might.
Now that is a joiner. Look at that. That's their room where they paint and finish everything.
So it's a climate controlled room. Of course, it's I think it was an automotive spray booth.
Okay.
And we bought it brand new from a guy that decided he didn't need it. So it's a new unit for us, but it works perfect for our woodworking because we can take
Very
it in
cool.
there. I don't care how cold the day is, how hot, muggy.
Climate control.
Climate control.
Completely isolated from all the
Yep.
dust and
Yep.
yeah. Very cool.
I'm not sure what we've got in there right now, but we'll be
Anything
able
you
to,
want to do.
we'll be able to use it more. Now here's a couple of gates that they've built.
Wow.
Vehicle gates. We had
How's that for a hinge?
That's a big hinge here. That's your iron.
Wow.
Yeah. That should hold up pretty nice.
So these are driveway gates. You want me to lift
Yes.
you up where you can see better? Look at that.
Yeah.
Those are going to be doubles, right?
Yeah, there'd be a
Yeah,
pair.
so there'll be a pair.
Looks like 2 pairs. Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Travis, do you want to look at the gates?
He likes that chair.
Look here. See, these are double gates. So there'll be 2 of these next to each other. Look at how heavy that hinge is.
See, that's what keeps the cows in, okay? Maybe the chickens. Here's some legs that they've just finished up for a kitchen table. It's upside down, of course.
Fancy
But,
table.
Yeah, it's kind of a little Grecian key block there. So, well, we'll walk over this way.
Come on, here, hold hands.
Of course, that was one of the first machines that we bought with the molder. That's a single straight line rip saw.
Cool.
2 men can rip quite a bit of lumber with that, but it's still 1 line at a time. It's 1 blade. Nice digitized planer. I'm still trying to figure out all these digital buttons.
All the options.
I grew up with the old crank and get your tape rule out. These here, you just plug in the fraction.
Punch it in, plug and play, huh?
Plug and play, and that's what the younger people are used to. They're used to that digital. You know. Over here, we bring in our rough lumber to rip plane, but I did want to point out we are still using a lot of local poplar.
Local wood.
This is common grade. A few tight knots, great for planing, great for painting
moldings,
flooring.
Anything paint grade, basically. Yeah.
This was probably the choice of lumber way back in the day.
Yeah.
Until the big guys started shipping pine, finger joint pine in.
Yeah.
But we use a lot of this northern white pine out of Virginia, probably up in Ohio, up a little bit farther north. Use a lot of, we do still buy some sapelli, a little bit of the African mahogany, just sometimes the architects, I gotta have it.
Yeah, that's what they want.
We keep a little bit of that. But
yeah.
Most of our interior stuff, if it's gonna be painted, we utilize poplar.
Yeah.
Because it's very inexpensive, easy to work with, good on the tooling.
Machines
works
nicely.
Great. Machines well.
Yeah.
Now we'll, while he's running, we'll stand on this side, boys.
Is this the molder?
This is your molder. And
So these guys are planing. Is that planing or ripping?
That's the gang rip saw.
Okay.
Now, that's got multiple blades on it. That has up to 6 blades. So you can take a pack of lumber, set it up for 7.
So does it cut both the sides and the top?
No, we get it already dressed.
Okay.
Hit and miss.
Okay.
It's easier for us. We have less dust in our system.
Right.
So we get it thickness plane.
So
but
it's just ripping both sides, straightening it out.
Right. So that gang rip saw has changed for us too, because it's now, instead of a 4-man, bust and getting it, it's now 1 man could really run it.
Yeah.
But it's really
nice.
a 2-man setup.
Very nice.
Are you setting up that? Can we walk over there or not? We'll walk through here, guys. This machine here is very helpful. It's a edge gluer. They call it a glue reel. And you can see how many arms are set up. I don't remember how many square feet that you can actually glue up, but each one of those layers are 4 foot by 16 foot times 10 sections. That's a lot of
So
tables.
you can glue up like 20 doors or tabletops or big
just say,
panels.
well, we get calls from restaurants. Hey, I want a bunch of tabletops. Gang rip it, set it up over here, glue it, send it to the planer, send it to the molder, put it in our spray booth. In 3 days, we can have enough tabletops ready for the big banquet. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
But anyways, you can see the poplar. We love this. I call this hillbilly redwood.
Yeah.
The old
Hillbilly
heartwood of poplar is great for exterior, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's the sapwood that's not very well. The white wood is your sapwood. That's what doesn't really stand the elements outside. But almost every log house, a lot of your weatherboard from these early 1840 houses.
Yeah, around here, I mean, all your siding on the old houses.
But it was old growth poplar.
Yeah.
It was 2 foot, 3 foot diameter, bigger trees, but it's the same species.
Yeah.
They just didn't let it grow, that's all.
Yeah.
But we try to call out the really dark green and
set it aside for exterior
save it for
work.
exterior door
Yeah.
panels or whatever.
Very cool.
But your grading, your lumber yards don't grade that way, so
Yeah.
you get what they send you.
Right.
But both of these
Very
guys have been
cool.
here a long time. They know what they're doing. 35, 40 years, some of them.
Wow.
Been from the beginning. Well,
Irreplaceable. in
yeah,
other words.
I can be replaced. They can't. This is our 6-headed molder. That's where most of our trim goes, right through that machine right there. We'll walk over here and look inside the grinder room.
Ooh. So this is where all your, now do y'all cut your own knives?
We used to cut them, but we found out that now the knife supplier will actually grind it, cut it, send it to us cheaper, and we can do it.
Yeah.
And so, and it's good for them. They get a little money, you know, they get a little job out of it. We buy their steel.
So this is your library of cutters.
That's right.
Don't touch.
Yeah, these are sharp tools in here, fellas. They will bite.
These are all cutters for cutting moldings.
Yeah. We can leave that door open. And now this is Keith Patterson's area. Mr. Keith's been with me a long, long time. 40, I think, 35, how long? Since you were a young man. And these fellas here are in training to do whatever they need to do. They're blacksmiths.
Okay.
Yeah, and but anyways, all of these knives represent, almost every one of them represent some job we did multiple times over.
Yeah.
And some of them even, let's see, I always like to show this one, I don't know why. This I found from an old 1880s house in Franklin, Tennessee.
Wow.
I kept seeing this same molding over and over in these old houses. And I did a little research, and a lot of this came from Nashville. It was the oldest millwork house. I think it was Sullivan's Millwork down on where the Titans Stadium is now. Big 3-story brick building with a turnstile in the very bottom. The mules would turn this gear shaft that powered
mule power.
Mule power.
Wow.
And so we think that some of this molding was bought from their shipped ox. You know, they had an old ox cart before railroad.
Wow.
But then some of these houses, 1830 to 40 pre-Civil War, and then 1880, some of that Victorian, they started changing to square cutters and but anyways, it's kind of interesting. That's kind of a local piece of crown mold.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But all of these knives, and we try to maintain really sharp, if you can look at them, all the edges.
The sharper the cutter, the cleaner the cut.
Yeah. Really, really, really
Now
clean. really clean, crisp.
Is all of
Nice
us
patterns.
are all of these patterns done in one pass,
Oh,
or
yeah.
do some of them you have to do
No,
multiple passes?
it's usually
all one
pass.
Wow.
Keith, was there 6 knives in that head?
6 head molding. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So he can usually, you know, you've got your main knife. All right, you're sticking your square lumber through, and here's your first knife.
Look at this, Travis,
Then
look.
you've got side knives on either side, a left and a right, and
Okay.
a bottom. So that's only 4. Then you've got a hog knife, maybe that it hits first. I left that part out.
It's a joining system where it kind of squares the material up first, and then it actually runs into the
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But if you can see, there's no light through there. That's pretty crisp.
Very cool.
But all your shoulders are clean and crisp. And nowadays, moldings, they run so much of it, they have to round the edges. And so a lot of your moldings they're not quite as
They're
crisp
not crisp
sharp
and clean,
like the old
yeah.
ones.
And lots of chatter.
Lots of Chad. Well, yeah, that's kind of operator's problem there.
Yeah.
That's, you gotta,
Plenty of that too.
Keith doesn't like chatter. He likes a smooth. He's your quality control guy. But
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is an extensive.
Now this is a
library
strange
of patterns.
question, but it's just popped into my head. Have you ever had somebody that's like, I want one of a kind, and I want you to throw the cutter away when you're done?
Well, we get that quite often, but we tell them we don't throw knives.
We don't throw
away.
knives away.
We don't throw knives away. Now,
If you ever need another piece.
Now we have agreed. There's a couple of knives that we've got that they've asked us don't use them on anybody else's, so we do that. We don't have to have an agreement. We just we don't have to sign anything. They tell us please don't use it. We paid for it, and so we don't use it for somebody else because they did pay for that.
Right.
But now if there's no mention of that, then we're going to use them because we had a hand in in making
Absolutely.
it. And they're usually copying some early catalog.
Right.
Of
There's very
moldings.
few things that are new.
There's not
Nothing new.
In fact, I'm not even sure I want anything that's really new. That's just because nobody else has it.
If nobody's ever done it, there's probably a good reason.
I may
why.
not want that. But I always tell people, I said, if you really get good, like some of these architects studied the classics. They studied all of these wonderful earlier architects. And if they're really good, they can have the license to kind of manipulate that standard, and make it their own.
Different combinations of the classic elements.
Yeah, and that's what makes a real architect, is to be able to kind of bend the rules a little bit, but in a way that it's for good.
Yeah.
And not out of ignorance, But anyway,
Very,
well, Keith,
very cool.
we'll get out of your hair, buddy.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You
Bye,
too.
fellas. See you in the future.
We'll walk out this way.
See, look,
now
he
here's-
puts a board through the machine, and after it's squared up, and it gets cut right into a fancy piece of molding. It goes in one side as a board and comes out the other. Don't touch. Out the other side with a fancy profile. That's pretty cool.
Is that nice?
Way back when, all of that would have been done with hand planes, one shaving at a time.
Well, here's some more of that. We run a lot of tongue and groove. It just seems like it's used to be the poor man's plaster. When you saw tongue and groove on a wall, that meant he couldn't afford the wood lath and the plaster and the horsehair plaster. I love it, and even it's more expensive now. The cheapest thing is drywall, of course.
Yeah.
But to me, the wood is, you gotta love the warmth of wood. There's nothing like it.
Yep.
You know.
And durability.
Yeah, you
Sturdiness.
can impact. I mean, you're not gonna run through that. These are all just parts and pieces ready to go somewhere.
Beautiful. Here comes the truck.
trucks coming back.
That's their truck that they use to deliver stuff that they make. Sometimes they take it to the person that bought it.
This is interesting. This was an old warehouse. They used to make mops.
Oh, wow.
Before that, it was Book World's warehouse. So we've been here, there's 2 or 3 different now. Well,
and you haven't changed.
We haven't, well, yeah. Nashville Design Collective. It's a really good group of people from Atlanta. They came in here. I mean, Peacock Cabinetry, Robin Raines Interiors, Circle Lighting. I could name a few more, but it's
nice having neighbors you work with.
I kind of hate to leave the area and having these people right at my back door that I work with. These are interior designers and architects. Right. So, but we've got to have a better space.
Yeah.
Let's go back in here.
Come on, boys.
I guess that's moss growing on that.
Thank you. Y'all can take your glasses off if you want. Well, that was quite the shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of big machinery.
Yeah. Well, what did you think? You think you could run some of that equipment? Huh?
Lots of wood.
He's thinking, he's studying about it.
Well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for the tour.
Yeah, that's good.
And so I mentioned earlier, if anybody wants to see like the beautiful stuff that comes out of that shop, it's already gone. Check you out on Instagram.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff on your website, portfolio.
You can look on our website, Vintage Millworks Inc.
Okay.
And
Vintage Millworks Inc.
Yeah.
Out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, very good. Well, like I said, thanks a lot for the tour and the time.
Yeah, yeah. So. He's looking at that.